And now let's talk about Nexus. Nexus, of course, the first season roster of NXT, have been causing havoc wherever they go. And indeed, pay-per-view, TV taping, it doesn't matter to those guys. They've been interrupting everything. And indeed, giving the beatdown to some of the top characters. McMahon beaten down in the ring this week. Nexus, a lot of momentum.
Nexus certainly with a lot of momentum, and really turn it up this week, and reinstated by the new GM, whoever it may be. Possibly Bryan Danielson. Could be. Never say never in the world of professional wrestling. But Nexus looking strong and taking Vince out, and really making a stand that they're here and stand up and take notice. And maybe we're in for some more pay-per-view crashes with the Nexus group.
It's still exciting me. I still find it a good surprise, not so much, but it at least gives me something storyline wise to be interested in. And it's just so important to be interested in what the actual story is, because I just think a lot of times you can forget about what's going on in the ring if you're not concentrating on it. But I suppose we've been so fed storylines now, I think we expect them, and we expect good ones at that. But I was interested to hear they have their own theme tune as well, which is something that I think is going to maybe do some good in the sense that it'll keep them there.
Yeah, with a theme tune like that, you are, that's the first step of many for Nexus from here on in. But I really do think the big Bryan Danielson swerve, get him in after the 90 days thing as a GM, if they can stretch that for that long, how many weeks are we in? Probably 2, 3, not long left, and stretch the shit out of it. That'll probably get to SummerSlam, would it?
I think so, and I think that's maybe what they're aiming for. It would be a good, different match to have all of those guys maybe taking on 5 Raw guys who maybe don't have any place. It'd be interesting and fresh to see all those characters in the ring. And Nexus getting a pay-per-view appearance, I think you call it, it's got to be a certainty at this point, and it's got to be big show territory. This is going to be a payoff that will probably, like you say, last a couple of months, and then maybe by the end of a SummerSlam they will decide to put these guys in their own singles competition, maybe some going back to FCW. But this week we had them cutting promos, and they each got their own turn on the mic. And Otunga, to be honest, his promo struck me as a little bit rushed. We had Slater, thought he was better at the promo, Justin a little bit nervous, and Sheffield, main eventer.
Sheffield, we told you from the start, he's the one to watch, and serious on the mic, serious in the ring, and legit tough guy, I'm sure, outside the ring. Skip Sheffield delivering as always. Yip yip.
Michael Tarver with an interesting promo. He is working some kind of gimmick. He is sort of looking like the shady, kind of sly guy, and he certainly does kind of interesting character things, and I think the bandana does something as well. It's all good, but of course he hasn't really gotten a chance to do much. Also, of course, Barrett, who can certainly confidently cut a promo, but in the sense that I think he's a much better in-ring worker.
Yeah, he is one of the better ones, definitely. I think now really thinking about it, if they do the Who's the GM build, get Danielson back in after the 90 days buzz, put him in the GM position, and then have him all align heel Nexus with Vince. Then going forward, let Daniel Bryan give Wade Barrett his season 1 reward of a title match at the pay-per-view. SummerSlam, Wade Barrett takes the title from Cena, who takes it from Sheamus in the meantime. I think that's the way forward.
I would not be surprised. That is really probably very likely. To see something like that happen would be great. And I think, Wade Barrett, he's the man they're obviously putting in pole position. And maybe there's some kind of competition and that side of things. Maybe the likes of a Skip Sheffield feels like he should be there. And I'm sure maybe Otunga, he got such a huge push. He's probably wondering now why he didn't get that push and why he isn't the guy in the main event events. But it's encouraging because when they pick a Wade Barrett, you know that they are doing something for the wrestling side of things, and they're putting a guy who's competent, he can work well, and even down at FCW, they were doing incredible things in the main event.
Yeah, it was good to watch, and he kind of kept a similar gimmick, I suppose. The jacket, he still has the jacket, I suppose, so it's not too different from what he was doing. But yeah, he's legit. I just see he's believable. That's more important than being legit. I think he's believable. Whilst Tonga isn't really that believable, I don't think.
My one worry for Wade Barrett would be that British invasion syndrome. Now, they haven't put him in a Union Jack yet, but you can never rule that sort of thing out. But I always find it interesting how, these guys are kind of painted as gentlemen and that they're all regal. But it seems like, people don't really recognise those accents. But certainly I think Wade Barrett is more from the kind of north of England, a bit more of a rough and tough guy, I think. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the future. So you've called what you think about that Nexus angle. I don't think I could do it more justice than that. I mean, that sounds exactly like what they're going to do. Eventually they're going to have Wade Barrett in there in a solo match, and maybe Nexus will be the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, maybe they'll get demoted and then quickly get the releases over a couple of months. But even still, that would be a good couple of weeks of TV, and it would be good for WWE. I think you're still hearing the Bryan Danielson chants. So I think the folks want him back, and they would be very stupid not to take him back. And he would be very stupid not to go back, more so.
On all three, I agree. It's so a loss. It's such a sad waste, really. And it really was all over this Justin Roberts thing, wasn't it? People have said it, and it appears to not really have been denied. And I remember seeing that Justin Roberts choke, and maybe it was just Justin Roberts overselling it. But, I mean, he obviously maybe complained, but I just can't see the guy complaining. I mean, I think anybody who's there, they don't want to rock the boat in any way. So maybe it was someone backstage checking that out and saying, somehow that wasn't something you could do. But then, was that a recent thing? Was it like the banning of the chair shots to the head that they did that? Because I never read that anywhere.
I think it was to do with Benoit and something to do with the whole murder-suicide malark there. But also, I think Vince wasn't too keen on him spitting down on John Cena, who's the company boy or whatever. Vince not a fan of the old. So obviously got a bit of heat from that side too. I don't know. You hear all these stories. It's probably a combination of all of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, this angle, I feel, would have been so much better if we had Daniel Bryan there. You mentioned the crowd chanting his name still, and I can't see that stopping anytime soon because they're going to be on TV, and he's the missing link. And, I mean, we saw him at the end of a Raw screaming at Cena after that initial beatdown, and that kind of showed you that maybe he was going to be involved storyline-wise as well. Perhaps even on a Wade Barrett level in terms of what he would have been doing, and I would say maybe the pecking order would have maybe gone Skip Sheffield at that point. Maybe they'd have been looking at perhaps Justin Gabriel and then going down from there.
It's even more interesting is you'd wonder what he's actually doing. I'm sure he's not taking bookings just yet or whatever, unless he's very quiet about it. And is he in on the possible return? If they've said to him, hey, it'll be cool after 90 days, we'll get you back in. And is he kayfabing it around the place, working it? Or is he just genuinely out and that's that? I would love to see an interview with him or something.